I just need to give you some instructions. The ones that are here that wanna read the captions in Spanish, you will have an option that says English, so you can see the captions in English, or Spanish, and you can read down there and see and understand what we're talking about. And I'm happy to be here. This is Marcela, and I would like to introduce Nihit. He's gonna help us with the topic understanding your why, and I will let him to introduce himself and his topic. And thank you for being here.
Hi everyone. I'm Nihit. I am a counseling psychologist. I finished my master's in psychology in 2021, and I've been working as a psychologist and a behavioral health coach since then. And I'm super happy to be here and welcome to our very first support group meeting.
Hello everyone. I'm Brenda. I'm a registered dietitian. I've been a registered dietitian for more than 9.5 years and a health coach for 5 years. I do a little bit of what Nihit says about the habits and all that. My main goal is to help people manage to achieve long-term habits instead of just following fad diets or things that they can do for a short amount of time. Before we begin with the topic that we have today, which is about understanding your why and the SMART goals that you have, we're going to introduce a little bit about LeanDreams. So we are a group of expert medical supervision. We are all certified doctors or fitness instructors, psychologists, dietitian, nutritionists. We have a group of well-renowned professionals just to support you in all the areas. Besides the one-on-one coaching that we do, we offer the support groups, which is the one that we're doing today. And we also offer online community so that you're never alone. You have someone at your side, and not just from your coaches, but also from the people that are going through exactly the same thing as you are going. And Nihit already said a little bit about ourselves, so we're going to get right to the topic.
Perfect. I think we have a few new participants as well. Hi everyone who's just joined. So we're just starting out now. I'm Nihit, and me and Brenda are sort of moderating this group. Yeah. Um, so I think the reason why we want to have a support group here is that there is enough evidence now that support groups have worked really well in terms of for weight loss patients, for weight loss clients. And because it sort of provides a sense of community, it makes you don't feel like you're all alone in your journey. There is a lot of learning, a lot of education that happens. There are a lot of resources that are shared, a lot of information that's distributed. Sometimes we might feel like we are the only one who's struggling with something, but then when you sort of meet people with similar experiences, you start normalizing your experiences. So that's another benefit that comes out of um, being part of a support group. You get a lot of emotional support, a lot of emotional connection. Your peers motivate you, other participants sort of inspire you, and it also like becomes a safe space for you to express uh, your express yourself and feel heard and understood. And hence I think support groups have shown to be benefiting a lot when it comes to weight loss. And hence we wanted to sort of, like Brenda said, we wanted to give you a very holistic sort of a help when it comes to losing weight. And that's why we wanted to introduce support groups in our structure, in our format. Now, when it comes to weight loss, it's very important to understand that our behaviors towards weight loss, our eating habits, be it our physical fitness, our activity level, etc., are often sort of controlled or influenced by certain psychological factors. Okay, and a lot of and a lot of these psychological factors. Basically, when I say psychological factors, I mean a lot of underlying motivations, underlying motives that influence our behavior. And it's sort of it's very important for us to sort of understand what these motivations are, what these underlying factors are. Because in the long run, it also helps you identify your triggers, it then helps you identify your challenges, what are the opportunities for growth, etc. And I recently came across this three circle model, and I thought I'll share it with all of you today. Um, so often when it comes to losing weight, or not just losing weight, but in other domains of our lives also, um, when we sort of want to work on something, our very first instinct is to figure out the what of the problem or the how of the problem. So the questions that we usually ask is, what can I do to lose weight, or how can I lose weight? We often fail to ask ourselves, why do we want to lose weight? And I think that's something that I wanted to highlight today, because um, often the kind of so there's a biological reason for this also. When we understand the why of our behaviors, when we understand the why of a particular thing that we're trying to do, um, it sort of our brain understands that better. So there's this small part in our brain which is called limbic system, which controls our emotions, which controls our motivation, um, often sort of controls goal directed behavior. It often does not understand the what and the hows of things. It largely understands the whys of things, and hence it's very important to understand your why. Your why is basically like a north star guiding you in the right direction, to sort of use an analogy. Um, so Brenda, you can move to the next slide. So hence it becomes like, when it comes to weight loss, these are some very specific reasons why a lot of people want to lose weight. Sometimes it could be a little more personal reason. Um, it could be related to health. Maybe you want to improve your health. Maybe, there's a certain condition, certain lifestyle condition we want to manage. All of these becomes motivating factors in our weight loss journey. Sometimes it could be related to appearance. Maybe, I want to look a certain way. I want to feel a certain way. The certain look that I desire, I want to be like that. So appearance is another reason why a lot of us um, want to sort of lose weight. Sometimes it's related to energy levels. I want to feel more energetic throughout the day. I want to feel more active. So these are some personal reasons why a lot of people get into fitness, or want to lose weight. Now there's certain emotional drivers also. um, when it comes to emotional drivers, sometimes it could be related to your own emotional well-being. Maybe you want to sleep better, you want to reduce your stress. Often weight loss helps in better sleep, it helps in reduction in stress levels. So we sort of want to maybe achieve that by the end of our journey. Sometimes it is working on our self-esteem, right? You want to feel good about yourself. You want to boost your confidence, and that sort of can be another reason uh, driving your behavior. Now, sometimes there are a lot of practical benefits that also come out of it, in terms of improved quality of life. And I see Dr. J, he keeps posting a lot about how losing weight helps in improving your quality of life. Um, so yeah, in terms of increased mobility, in terms of reduced joint pain, I think all of these are some benefits that come out of being in a certain weight range. Longevity is another reason. You want to age gracefully, you want to live a longer and a healthier life, um, and hence you want to lose weight. Sometimes our motivations can be our own past experiences. It could be related to, let's say, we've had certain challenges, let's say growing up or at a certain phase in our life where weight was a challenge, and hence we want to overcome that, we want to change that, and hence we want to lose weight. Sometimes it could be related to our past success. Let's say, there was this, you were in a certain weight range at a certain period in time, and it felt really good, and you want to sort of achieve all of that again. So these are some, like I said, some very common reasons why people want to lose weight. I will pause here for a while. I wanted to check if people have any questions before I move to the next slide.
I have a question. So what if you have many? What if you say, yes, I mean, I care about my health, but at the same time, I want to improve the quality of my life? Would you say that when we set a while, should we go having a main purpose, or we can have more than one? Or
Yeah, that's a wonderful question, Grace. Thank you for bringing that up. We can obviously have multiple motivations, right? It doesn't have to be limited to one. There can be multiple reasons. Yes, I want to look good. I want to fit into my old clothes, but at the same time, I want to reduce my joint pain, or I want to, uh, just sort of manage my diabetes or whatever. So you can have multiple reasons or multiple motivations towards uh, achieving a certain target.
Yeah, Nihit, I think that when I see patients in my practice, this is really one of the first questions that I ask them. And I'm a firm believer that people work harder for goals that they set than if those goals are what some chart on the internet says their weight should be, or what their primary doctor tells them. I'm not saying that those charts and what their doctors are saying aren't important, but the why is a very personal thing. And I think that it has to come from inside, right? If you are working for a goal that someone else sets for you, it's logical that you're not going to work as hard for it. So if you're setting those goals for yourself, I have people tell me such varied things. They want to have more energy with their grandkids. They want to get off of their diabetes medications. They want to have better self-esteem. They want to do some of the activities they used to be able to do when they're younger. There's it's not just about the number on the scale, but I think that understanding your why is a fantastic place to start.
Absolutely. I think, like you said, it has to come from within. Nobody can sort of force it onto you. And if it is something that's coming, in fact, I wanted to explain this in the next slide, where Brenda, you can change. So I wanted to introduce this concept of intrinsic motivation and extrinsic motivation, right? Intrinsic motivation, like Dr. J said, comes from within. It comes from inside you. Extrinsic motivation is largely a little more societal dependent, or it's dependent on other people or other factors that may or may not be in your control. Okay. Again, now none of these there's no right or wrong motivation to achieve a certain weight target. There's no wrong or right answer here. However, when it comes to extrinsic motivation, it's usually short-lived. So you want to lose weight because you want to look good in a certain picture, you want to look good on Instagram, etc. These motivations are often short-lived when it comes as compared to intrinsic motivation, which largely comes from within, which are often more long-term and also helps you sustain those behaviors. So it's very important if your motivation towards losing weight is slightly on the extrinsic side, I also want you to find a more intrinsic purpose, a more intrinsic reason, so that it's a more wholesome approach. Again, it's a more wholesome motivation for you to lose weight. Now, certain activities, like Dr. J said, I think understanding your why takes a lot of time, and it's one of the best places to start your weight loss journey at. Instead of exploring the whys and instead of exploring the what and the how of it, we're trying to understanding why should be the first and the most primary activity here. And something that really helps in that is obviously sitting down and reflecting on your reasons of doing it. So maybe you can sort of sit with a pen and paper and maybe jot things down in a more relaxed environment. That can be the first step. Sometimes a lot of people find mind maps a very helpful way of figuring it out, especially when there are multiple reasons associated with weight loss. So having some kind of a diagram, some kind of a graph, some kind of just small sketches here and there. I think it can sort of help you reflect if writing is not something that you prefer. Daily reminders of your why is again something that seems to be very impactful for a lot of my clients. Keeping things visually keeping certain cues in your visual periphery, sort of regularly revisiting those reflections, regularly revisiting your whys, can sort of be that wind to your clouds, taking you towards your destination. So I think it does really help. And something that's very, very important here is finding or sort of associating your weight loss goals with certain personal values that you might have. So it could be linking or integrating your weight loss targets, your whys, with certain values that you might hold very true to yourself. So those values could be self-care, it's discipline, it's perseverance, strength, courage, all of those things. So I think when you integrate it with these deeper values, there's more deeper meaning to your to the efforts that you're making. It's not just reaching a certain value or number on the scale. Now it's a much more deeper purpose that you want to achieve, and hence integrating it or connecting with your values really, really help. And I feel like this is what differentiates people who end up achieving their targets and goals as compared to people who don't achieve their targets or goals. Clients who see a certain target or are um, consistent in the weight loss journey as compared to clients who struggle or find it a little difficult to achieve their targets. So I think this is what I wanted to highlight. Brenda would sort of take you through setting SMART goals, which is the very next step of in your weight loss, which should be the next step in your weight loss journey after you understand your why.
Going to SMART goals, a couple of things I like to add. I always tell my patients to think of their why as the anchor that it's going to be there for their weight loss journey. So it's that thing that is going to pull them back whenever they start to drift a little bit off. The more visualization that they have with that goal, or that more visualized they have it with that strong why, the easier it will be for that anchor to pull them back down whenever they're going to be going a little bit off track. We're human. It's very difficult, even me as a registered dietitian, to be 100% okay every time. It's difficult. We're going to strive a little bit off, but whenever you have that visual representation of what you want to achieve, it's going to be easier to be like, okay, does this align to that I have in mind? Yes or no? And that is going to help you steer back to the place that you are going to want to be, or the place that you eventually want to achieve. So again, just think of it as an anchor so that it's easier to grasp, so that it pulls you into that place or that goal or that vision of yourself that you eventually want for yourself in the future. So Grace, yeah, you can have several different whys. I think there's always going to be one main and big one. They're just going to be little ones that are going to root into that bigger one. Now with the SMART goals, setting goals can help you with that strong why, or that purpose that you have. However, at least in my case, I found that people don't often know how to set goals. We mainly are like, okay, I want to lose weight, I want to have more energy, I want to exercise. However, when you start doing them very broad, when you start putting goals in a very broadly manner, it's very difficult for you to achieve them because you don't have guidance, you don't know how to track them, you don't know how to follow them, and it makes them harder to accomplish. One of the ways that you can start setting better goals is by following the SMART goals. They're going to be specific, measurable, achievable, relatable, and time-bound. Okay? So let's start with specific. When you have a specific goal, it's going to be a goal that it's going to have as much detail as possible. So you're going to mainly want to answer these three questions: what needs to be accomplished, who's responsible for it, and what steps need to be taken to achieve it. So for example, if you go from I want to exercise, okay, let's put it a little bit more specific. Who is going to exercise? I'm the one that's going to be responsible or the one that is going to accomplish it. What do I need to take into account? I need to take into account my time, the money that I want to spend or the budget that I have, how I'm going to measure it, all the things that maybe are going to get in my way for me to maybe achieve that goal, which brings to the M, measurable. How much, how many, and how will I know when it is going to be accomplished? One of the easiest ways that you can do it is setting them in shorter time frames. So, for example, in a week, in a month, or every 15 days. So, for example, how am I going to measure that I want to start exercising? Okay, I want to start exercising 3 times per week. There, you're going to have a number that you are going to know if you are on the right track or if you maybe need to adjust it. One of the things or one of the tips that I usually give my patients is to make sure that you start small. Whenever we have like that energy to start doing and making or changing our habits, we go from maybe 0 to 100. So we go from not exercising to I'm going to exercise 1 hour every week, and then you know it, it's been a week, and then you're just beat, you're burned, and then you don't never want to exercise ever again. Take it slow. Building habits takes time. The habits that are longer or that last longer are the ones that you gradually start incorporating instead of just trying to do everything at once. Then we go into the A, achievable. How can I accomplish this goal? How realistic is the goal based on other constraints such as financial factors? Okay, again with the exercise. If you want to start exercising, determine how much time do you have to exercise. Is it going to be 5 or 10 minutes? Is it going to be 30 minutes? Can you do an hour every day? Is it according to your family time, to your personal time, to your work time? Does it all fit with everything that you have available? Can you just start exercising just by walking instead of going to the gym? All of the things you need to take into account. The more boundaries that you can eliminate, the easier it will be. We then have a R, which is relatable, which is something that it's a little bit goes hand in hand with something that he said. Is this the right time to do it? Is it something that you want to do it? Is it not something because someone told you that you need to start exercising? Is it something that you are actually going to take that time, the space, the energy, the everything to make it happen? And then we have time. When are you going to start? And when are you going to, most importantly, know that you've accomplished it? So, for example, you can do it with every week. Okay, so this week I'm going to do 3 workouts in a week, or you can do it in a month. I'm going to try to strive for 20 workouts for the whole month. And there you can start creating an action plan so that you can just list how you're going to approach it or tackle it. There are a couple of things that I always say whenever we're setting SMART goals. We often forget the power of small changes. Again, we often try to make very huge impacts, which they're not bad, but we often forget that just doing things 10% better, they start accumulating, and that's when 10% starts accumulating until you finally reach that place where you're like, I'm able to do it 3 times a week. Maybe I can now do 4 instead of just going from 7 days a week all at once. And the other one, remember that you can always have bonus goals. Or what do I mean by this? If you said, for example, okay, I'm going to do 3 times a week because that is challenging for me, but that is at the same time achievable for me. Everything that I do on top of that is going to be a bonus. So if I end up doing 4 times instead of 3, that's a bonus for me. And that usually motivates people to just start adding a little bit more each time. There are a couple of other tricks that can help you with the goal settings. One of the things that I always recommend is just make sure that you write them down, that it's not just something that you do just openly in the air, that you're just like, okay, I want to start exercising 3 times a week. Make sure that you write it down in a place that you are going to see it. So for example, if you have an agenda, you can always put it in your agenda, like in the corner, like, okay, this week I'm going to focus on this. And that way you can see it, you can remind yourself, and it's going to be easier to achieve than just say it out in the open. It also helps if you tell it to someone else. So for example, I started running this January. It's going there. I have my first 5K this Sunday, and I decided to start announcing it. It's like, I'm going to do a 5K, and that made me just try to push myself a little bit harder for me to start training, even though it's raining, and for me to start going into that groove of starting running and all of the process. Writing it down and telling people always helps for you to stay on track. The other one is rewarding yourself. Now, you have to be a little bit careful with this one, because rewarding yourself, most people think reward equals food. You want to break that pattern of thinking of reward equals food. Think of other things that you can reward yourself once you achieve a goal. So for example, if we're going back to the exercise, okay, once I'm able to do that 3 times a week of the exercise that I want to achieve, I'm going to buy myself a clothing for working out, or I'm going to buy myself a pair of shoes, or I'm going to go to a massage, or I'm going to do something that is going to be rewarding for me. But make sure that you're not focusing or doing it mainly on food, because that's a pattern that we already have and that we eventually want to break. The other one is making sure that you take one goal at a time. Again, we want to cover so many things at once, but covering so many things at once can make us feel overwhelmed and burnt out. So just make sure that you're focusing one step at a time. Again, the power of small habits. So once you have that exercise, it's easier to stack exercise and then stack maybe water, instead of doing water and exercise and nutrition and sleep and stress and all of that, and then you eventually don't do anything. So the more little goals that you do, the easier it would be for them to stick, and the easier it would be for you to stack a habit on top of the other. The other one is just making sure that you stay positive. Most people, again, think of changing habits in a negative way. So for example, I'm not going to eat sugar, I'm not going to do fast food, I'm not going to eat cookies, I'm not going to stay on the couch. Try it the other way around. Try to do it, try to set your goals in a positive manner. So instead of being, okay, I'm not going to eat sugar, okay, I'm going to focus on maybe including vegetables or fruits, or focusing on whole grains or lean proteins, instead of going towards a negative thing. Or instead of being, I don't want to spend time on the couch, okay, start exercising. The more that you focus on positive goals, the easier it would be for the mind. Instead of thinking of those restrictions that you can have, think of the things that you actually can do or that you can change. And the final one is make an action plan. So the more details or the more steps that you can put into the goal, the better. So for example, if you're going to do the 3 times a day of the exercise, try to put them into what days you're going to work out. I'm going to work out Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m. I'm going to put them in my calendar. That way it's going to be there. The more detailed, the more actionable steps you can put into the goal, the easier it will be for you to follow that checklist, and the easier or more likely you will be to reach that goal. And now we have a little exercise for you. So we want for you to put this into practice. So Nihit and I want for you to think about what is your why, and with everything that we watched, setting at least one SMART goal. So we're going to take a couple of minutes for you to think, and then we can go over them together to see what you come up. Any questions so far before we do the exercise?
Not a question, Brenda, just a comment. I think one of the other things that we try to teach in our program, I'm sure you guys do it with your own practices, is the concept of sustainability. And specifically what I tell my patients is that one of the keys to sustainability are picking things that you enjoy doing. So for example, if you're thinking about something that's activity-based, if you're not a gym person, don't waste your money on a gym membership. You know, if you're not a treadmill person, don't buy a treadmill for home, right? Like, do things that are fun for you, that excite you. And so activity, for example, just like a healthy eating, it doesn't have to be boring. But what I want and I encourage our patients to do are to find habits that they're going to be doing now, that they're going to be doing in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 50 years, right? So one of the nice things that I think that are great about these support groups are we all kind of live in a bubble. We drive the same way to work or to this grocery store, or we have the same kind of habits and routines. And one of the nice things about support groups is that you meet other people that may be having some shared experiences that can say, well, you know, this is how I cook, or this is, hey, they got a deal at Orange Theory or at the gym, or you know, did you try out that new dance class or that new yoga or whatever, right? And you learn about some things that you may not have necessarily thought about until you see someone else that is also a regular human being saying, you know what, that this is I'm having fun, this is cool, let me try that. So going back to the concept of sustainability and goal setting, I think that it's also important to tell people, listen, it's okay that if you're not a gym person, don't go to the gym. Go just play with your kids in the park. Go for a nice brisk walk with your dogs. Go, you know, set a salsa or a merengue YouTube video on your TV at home and shake your booty a little bit and laugh it up with a friend. You know, it's okay to do other things.
Exactly. At least, like you said, one of the things that I say to my patients is, I want for you to have habits that you're not putting just because you're talking to me. There are things that you're going to want to do whenever we stop our consultations, and you're already set. There are things that you can see yourself doing in 5, 10, or possibly forever and ever and ever until you can't.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are things that are going to drive you into doing them. Nobody wants to get up from their bed and be like, oh, I have to go. That's the word, that I have to go to the gym. It's, yeah.
I think Brenda also highlighted two major, I think, concepts. One was reinforcement, where you sort of reward yourself. Now, that doesn't have to be like a physical reward. It could be like a compliment as well. So you look yourself in the mirror and you compliment yourself for the good job that you've done. And I think the other was accountability, you know, and that's where the support group sort of helps you. It helps you hold yourself more accountable and more responsible. Your coaches, your coaches help you in the process. Your friends can help you in the process. So sort of announcing your goals and talking about your goals sometimes does help. So I think this is what stood out for me, I think, when Brenda was talking about SMART goals.
Absolutely.
I think if you want, we can take a pen and paper and write down our goals and whys if we haven't thought about it yet. Do we need more time, or can we start?
Our question, let's do it. This is probably going to be super tough for a lot of people.
As you say, guys, this is hard, so let's set 5 minutes and we can share after this, okay?
5 minutes.
We need 5 minutes. Why don't we give it like 2 minutes? One goal.
Yeah.
Perfect. I'll set a timer. 2 minutes.
Okay.
Now or never.
And are we talking about a health-related goal or just any goal?
We will start with our why and then set one goal.
Perfect.
Yeah. But if setting a health-related goal is slightly difficult right now and you need more time to think, maybe you can take a more personal goal or maybe a different goal for now to practice, and later on maybe you can sit and reflect and set a more health-related goal if that works better for you.
Perfect. That would be like, this is my small goal and this is my why. We can use that exercise if you want. Is that okay, Nihit and Brenda?
We can, if that's what we're more comfortable with. Do we have any volunteers? Anybody who wants to start and share?
I will be brave.
Yeah.
So, I
Brave.
will say that I find like it's very hard. And so to set a goal where I give myself the time to sleep more and sleep. And I find myself the other day, I can make it. I mean, I just, and I start from 7 hours to, okay, let's say 6.5 and then 6, and sounds probably something very small, but it's something huge that I can't accomplish. So I would say that that is my goal. And I think the why behind that is I want to age gratefully and learn to prioritize myself.
That's wonderful, Grace.
The
Thank you.
only advice that I have, make sure that again you're setting numbers so that you can track it. So okay, you want to sleep better, how many hours you want to sleep, how many days a week do you want to achieve that minimum sleep, so that whenever you know you're on the right path, and actionable steps that are going to help you with that sleep. So maybe a sleep routine or something like that that is going to help you achieve that amount of hours or the quality of sleep that you want.
I like it.
Grace, that was awesome. Here I go. Go to the park from 2 to 3 p.m. 2 or 3 times a week. That's my small goal. Why? I want to share time and exercise a little bit more. I want to share time with my husband, and my dog is a beautiful bull terrier, and I don't pay attention to her.
Awesome.
That's great. How do we set that in the SMART goal? How do we make it more specific, more measurable? So I think this is something we need to be a little more careful about when we're sharing. How do we make it more achievable? So yeah, we can sort of try and fit our goals into this format as well.
But you can write it down. And I like your guitars, by the way.
Yeah, do you want to type it, Shane, into the there's a little text box at the bottom right, and then we'll read it out for people.
While Shane is typing, do we have any more?
So Shane,
Okay.
yeah, you want to read that off?
Okay, so Shane is saying, I want to be consistent with my strength training. I plan would be to set 4 days a week. Perfect, good start. I would recommend just making sure that you have the set days that you're going to do them, so that that's an action plan, and that you have like a start and beginning. Are you going to measure it like every week, and then from there are you going to change the goal, or are you going to, I don't know, do it per month, or how are you going to do it? And just make sure that you think about the why you want to strength train. Is it because of health? Is it because of physical appearance? Is it because there are many factors de-stressing? Just making sure that you think about the why whenever you're thinking about the goal. But that's a good goal to set.
And Shane, you have your own whys for that, but I think that's a fantastic goal. I think strength training is underappreciated, underutilized. I tell all of my patients, whether they're in the medical weight loss program, bariatrics, or they just are just trying to get healthier, that strength training it's a building lean muscle is a fantastic way to increase your resting metabolic rate, improve your self-esteem, your quality of life, and whatnot. So cardio is great for heart, lungs, and mind, right? Great for natural endorphins. Yeah, I know. Shane says, I can do cardio all day, but strength training is always a challenge to stick with for me. So
It is a challenge, but I think, as Brenda said, we'll take one day at a time. We'll try to build tinier habits. We don't have to dedicate 1 hour for strength training. You can do like 10 minutes of it on day one, and then gradually build on that.
yeah, and the other thing is having something measurable. So if you do cardio, you could say, okay, I'm going to run for 15 minutes 3 times a week, and then next week it'll be 20 minutes. With strength training, you're going to ask yourself, well, is it going to be weight based? Like, are you going to do 5 pull-ups, 3 sets, 4 sets, You know, 10 pull-ups? Is it push-ups? Is it dumbbells? Is it squats? Right? So give yourself a number that you're starting off with. Start small, and then keep a log. I will tell you that logging your physical activity is incredibly powerful and important because it tells you where you're at. It gives you metrics, and it gives you something to shoot for. And then you can look back at your logs and say, man, this is how far I've come. So don't be afraid to keep a log.
Perfect. Do we have any questions or anything else anyone would like to go over before we close?
If not, we can talk about our next meeting date and also the fact that we're going to be doing Spanish language support groups starting in August. So those dates will come out on our website, also on our social media accounts. So yeah, it was a good first support group. Brenda and Nihit, thank you so much. You guys did a great job.
Thank you guys for being here. And any questions that any of you have, feel free to reach out.
Yeah, share the customer email address, Marcella, in the chat.
Hi.
So that way people can email us with questions, and also the website as well. So, but it looks like you already got it on the screen there. You beat me to it. Never mind.
Yeah, so we're doing this. We're trying to be effective, and Brenda and they were talking about set goals and all these things, and that's why we're sending calendar invites, so you will have that there. So we're learning from Brenda and Dr. Gay say, schedule it, log it. So I'll be sending, if you send me your emails or friends' emails, I'll be sending this calendar invite, and it will go right to their calendar, and they will see every month the meeting there. So thank you for being here. I appreciate it. If you have questions, you can email me. I'm just one email away from you, customer@LeanDreamsWeightLoss.com. I will put that email here in the chat. Thank you very much.
All right, guys, have a good one. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.